Your mind is not your enemy, but every day, you allow doubt to convince you that you are weaker than you really are. The biggest battles you fight are not against other people. They are against the voice inside your own head that tells you, you can't do it. You're not ready. You're not enough. But what if that voice was wrong? What if the person holding you back was not the world, but the doubts you keep feeding? Welcome to Stoic Ascension, where we explore the wisdom of Stoicism and learn how to build an unshakable mind. Before we begin, share your thoughts in the comments. What is one doubt you are trying to overcome right now? And if you want more powerful Stoicism lessons, make sure to subscribe to Stoic Ascension. Because today, we are going to learn how to stop doubting your mind and start trusting your inner strength. There was once a young warrior who trained every day to become the strongest in his village. He was talented, disciplined, and hardworking. But every time he faced a challenge, he would hear a voice in his mind saying, "You are not ready. You will fail. Someone else is better than you." One day, his teacher asked him, "Why do you lose before the battle even begins?" The warrior answered, "Because I am afraid I am not good enough." The teacher smiled and said, "Your biggest opponent is not the person standing in front of you. Your biggest opponent is the story you tell yourself." That lesson is one of the greatest truths of Stoicism. The mind can either become your greatest weapon or your greatest prison. The ancient Stoics understood something powerful: you cannot control every event in life, but you can control the way you respond to those events. And that includes the thoughts you choose to believe. Many people spend years doubting themselves. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel confident. They wait until fear disappears. But confidence does not come from waiting. Confidence comes from action. A Stoic does not say, "I will act when I feel ready." A Stoic says, "I will act, and through action I will become ready." Think about a person learning to swim. They can read hundreds of books about swimming. They can watch thousands of videos. They can study every technique. But until they enter the water, they will never truly learn. The same applies to life. You cannot think your way into becoming stronger. You become stronger by facing challenges. Every time you overcome something difficult, you prove to your mind that you are capable. The first step to stopping doubt is understanding that every thought is not a fact. Your mind creates thoughts all day. Some thoughts are useful. Some thoughts are fear. Some thoughts are old memories pretending to predict your future. A Stoic learns to observe thoughts instead of becoming controlled by them. Imagine someone insults you. The first reaction might be anger. Your mind says, "Attack back. Prove yourself. Make them regret it." But the Stoic asks, "Is reacting going to improve my life? Does this person's opinion control my value? Am I choosing my response, or am I being controlled by emotion?" That small moment of awareness creates freedom. Because the person who controls their mind cannot easily be controlled by others. A powerful Stoic principle is this: your perception creates your reality. Two people can experience the same situation and react completely differently. One person loses a job and says, "My life is over." Another person loses a job and says, "This is a chance to rebuild." The event is the same. The difference is the mind. Your strength does not come from having a perfect life. Your strength comes from having a trained mind. Many people doubt themselves because they compare their journey to someone else's. They look at another person's success and think, "I am behind. They are better than me. I will never reach that level." But comparison steals your focus. The Stoics believed your only true competition is yourself. Ask yourself, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I more disciplined? Am I more patient? Am I stronger mentally? Because the goal is not to become someone else. The goal is to become the best version of yourself. There was a man who planted a tree in his backyard. His neighbor laughed and said, "Why plant a tree? It will take years before it becomes big. The man replied, someone planted trees for me to enjoy. Now I plant one for someone else. That is the mindset of a strong person. They understand that growth takes time. They do not quit because results are slow. They trust the process. Doubt wants instant results. Discipline understands that greatness is built slowly. A weak mind looks for proof that it cannot succeed. A strong mind looks for reasons to keep moving forward. This does not mean a Stoic never feels fear. It does not mean a Stoic never has doubts. It means a Stoic refuses to let those doubts become the ruler of their life. Fear can knock on the door. Doubt can enter your thoughts. But you decide who gets to stay. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they need to feel confident before they start. They think confidence comes first. But the truth is, confidence is usually the result of keeping promises to yourself. Imagine a person who says, I will wake up early and train my body. The first day is difficult. The second day is difficult. The mind says, just stop. Nobody cares. But they continue. After weeks of discipline, something changes. They begin to trust themselves. Why? Because every time they kept their promise, they showed their mind. I can depend on myself. That is where real confidence comes from. Not from pretending you are powerful. From proving it to yourself. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of controlling your inner world. A person may lose money. A person may lose status. A person may face rejection. But if they keep control of their mind, they still possess their greatest power. Because everything external can change. But your character is something you build every day. There was a man who failed many times while trying to create something meaningful. People around him laughed. They said, maybe this is not for you. They said, maybe you should quit. Every failure gave him another reason to doubt himself. But instead of asking, why is this happening to me? He asked, what can this teach me? That question changed everything. Because a strong mind does not see obstacles as signs to stop. It sees them as training. Every challenge is an opportunity to develop patience, courage, and discipline. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly feed it. If you constantly feed it negativity, fear, and excuses, doubt becomes stronger. But if you feed it discipline, knowledge, and action, your confidence grows. Think of your mind like a garden. If you do nothing, weeds grow naturally. You do not need to plant weeds. They appear by themselves. But if you want flowers, you must plant them. Your thoughts work the same way. You must be intentional about what you allow to grow. The Stoics understood that your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. If you spend your entire day thinking about what people think of you, you give away your power. If you spend your time focusing on your goals, your growth, and your character, you take your power back. Stop asking, do they approve of me? Start asking, am I proud of the person I am becoming? Because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. Another reason people doubt their minds is because they remember their past mistakes. They say, I failed before. I made bad decisions. I am not the type of person who succeeds. But the past is a teacher, not a prison. A mistake is an event. It is not your identity. A person who fails and learns becomes wiser. A person who fails and gives up becomes trapped. The difference is not the failure. The difference is the mindset. A soldier does not become strong by avoiding battles. A muscle does not become stronger without resistance. And the mind does not become powerful without challenges. Every difficult moment you face is shaping you. The rejection that hurt you. The failure that embarrassed you. The moment you thought you could not continue. Those moments are not there to destroy you. They are opportunities to discover what you are capable of. Remember this. The mind will always create reasons to stay comfortable. Comfort feels safe. But growth happens outside comfort. The person who always listens to fear will live a small life. The person who learns to move with fear will build a powerful life. A Stoic does not wait for fear to disappear. A Stoic moves forward anyway. Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain. You want to climb to the top. Your mind says, it is too high. You might fall. Maybe you should turn back. But another voice inside you says, take one step. Then another. Then another. Eventually, you look back and realize the distance you traveled. That is how growth works. One decision. One habit. One disciplined action at a time. The greatest victory is not defeating other people. The greatest victory is defeating the weaker version of yourself. The version that quits. The version that makes excuses. The version that believes every negative thought. Every morning, you have a choice. You can allow doubt to control you. Or you can train your mind to serve you. The world does not need a perfect person. It needs someone who is willing to improve. Your mind is like a powerful tool. But a tool without control can create damage. A tool with discipline can create greatness. The same mind that creates fear can also create courage. The same mind that tells you, you cannot, can be trained to say, I will try. The difference is not the thoughts you have. The difference is the thoughts you choose to follow. A Stoic understands that the mind will sometimes exaggerate problems. A small challenge becomes a disaster. A simple mistake becomes a reason to give up. A negative comment becomes something you carry for years. But ask yourself, will this matter 5 years from now? Will this moment define my entire life? Most of the things we fear today become lessons tomorrow. The mind creates storms that sometimes only exist inside your imagination. There was a young man who was afraid to speak in front of people. Every time he had an opportunity, his mind created 100 reasons to avoid it. What if they laugh? What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? So he stayed silent. Years passed, and he realized something painful. The biggest opportunities he lost were not because he lacked ability. They were because he believed his fear. One day, he decided to challenge himself. He spoke even while nervous. His voice shook. His hands trembled. But he finished. And after that moment, he learned something important. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking action while fear is present. Many people are waiting for life to become easier before they become stronger. But life does not create strong people by removing difficulties. Difficulties create strong people. A person who never faces pressure never discovers their strength. A person who never faces failure never develops resilience. A person who never experiences discomfort never learns what they can overcome. The Stoics believe that your character is built through practice. You do not become patient by reading about patience. You become patient when someone tests your patience. You do not become disciplined by talking about discipline. You become disciplined when you do what needs to be done even when you do not feel like doing it. Your mind becomes stronger through repetition. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are training yourself. Stop doubting your mind because of temporary emotions. You may feel tired today. You may feel uncertain today. You may feel lost today. But feelings change. Your commitment should be stronger than your emotions. A person who only acts when they feel motivated will always be controlled by their mood. A Stoic acts based on values, not feelings. Imagine a captain sailing a ship during a storm. The waves are powerful. The sky is dark. The crew is afraid. But the captain does not panic. Why? Because the captain knows that panic will not control the storm. The only thing he can control is the direction of the ship. Your life is the same. You cannot control every storm. You cannot control every person. You cannot control every situation. But you can control your mind. You can control your response. You can control who you become. One of the strongest habits you can develop is questioning your own negative thoughts. When your mind says, "I am not good enough," ask, "Is this a fact, or is this fear speaking?" When your mind says, "I always fail," ask, "Is that true, or am I only remembering my mistakes?" When your mind says, "I cannot handle this," ask, "What evidence do I have that I cannot?" Many times, you will discover that your mind is not protecting you. It is simply trying to keep you comfortable. Comfort is attractive because it feels safe. But too much comfort creates weakness. A person who avoids every challenge becomes afraid of everything. A person who faces challenges becomes prepared for anything. That is why the Stoics practiced hardship. They understood that voluntary discomfort builds mental strength. Simple things like discipline, patience, silence, and self-control train the mind. You do not need to prove yourself to everyone. You do not need everyone to understand your journey. You do not need permission to improve yourself. Many people waste their energy trying to convince others of their worth. But a strong mind does not beg for validation. It builds quietly. Like a tree growing underground before anyone sees its branches. Growth is often invisible before it becomes obvious. The strongest person in the room is not always the loudest. Sometimes it is the person who stays calm. The person who thinks before speaking. The person who controls their emotions. The person who does not need applause to continue. That is the power of Stoicism. Master yourself, and the world becomes much harder to shake. So today, remember this. Your thoughts are visitors. You do not have to believe every visitor that enters your mind. Choose the thoughts that make you stronger. Release the thoughts that keep you trapped. Your mind is not something to fear. Your mind is something to train. The person who masters their mind has a power that cannot be taken away. People can take away possessions. People can take away opportunities. People can criticize you. People can misunderstand you. But nobody can take away the discipline you build inside yourself. That is the true foundation of Stoic strength. Many people live their entire lives waiting for someone else to believe in them. They wait for encouragement. They wait for approval. They wait for someone to say, "You are ready." But the strongest people learn something important. You must become your own source of strength. There will be moments when nobody sees your effort. Nobody sees the early mornings. Nobody sees the sacrifices. Nobody sees the battles happening inside your mind. But you know. And that is enough. A great example is a sculptor creating a statue. When people look at a block of stone, they see nothing special. They see something ordinary. But the sculptor sees something different. The sculptor sees what the stone can become. Then, with patience and discipline, the sculptor removes everything that does not belong. Your life is the same. Every challenge, every failure, every lesson is shaping you. You are not becoming stronger because life is easy. You are becoming stronger because you refuse to give up. Stop doubting yourself because your progress feels slow. A seed does not become a tree overnight. A building is not created in one day. A strong mind is not developed after one motivational speech. It is built through thousands of small choices. Choosing discipline when you want comfort. Choosing patience when you want to react. Choosing growth when you want to quit. Small actions repeated over time create a powerful person. The Stoic mindset is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about accepting reality and still moving forward. Some days will be difficult. Some days you will question yourself. Some days you will feel like you are making no progress. But remember, A cloudy day does not mean the sun disappeared. A difficult moment does not mean your journey is over. There was a man who carried a heavy bag everywhere he went. Inside the bag were stones. Every stone represented a regret. A mistake from the past. A failure. A moment of embarrassment. Years passed, and the bag became heavier. One day, an old man asked him, "Why are you carrying something that no longer serves you?" The man answered, "Because these mistakes are part of me." The old man replied, "No. They are part of your story. But you decide whether you carry them forever." That lesson stayed with him. He realized he was not being held back by his past. He was being held back by his attachment to it. Many people doubt their minds because they confuse their past with their future. They think, "I failed before, so I will fail again." But your past is not a prediction. Your past is information. Use it. Learn from it. Grow from it. But do not allow it to control where you go next. Your mind needs leadership. If you do not lead your thoughts will lead you. If you do not control your attention, distractions will control it. If you do not choose your direction, the world will choose it for you. A Stoic takes responsibility. Not because everything is their fault, but because responsibility gives them power. The moment you say, "My choices matter. My actions matter. My response matters," you take back control. You stop being a victim of every situation. You become the person who decides what happens next. Remember this powerful Stoic idea. The obstacle is not always the enemy. Sometimes the obstacle is the teacher. The person who challenges you teaches you patience. The failure that hurts you teaches you humility. The difficult season teaches you endurance. Everything you experience can become fuel if you have the right mindset. So when doubt appears, do not panic. Do not fight it with fear. Observe it. Question it. Then choose your action. Your mind may say, "Stay comfortable." But your purpose says, "Grow." Your fear says, "Wait." But your discipline says, "Move." Your doubt says, "You are not ready." But your courage says, "You will become ready by starting." You do not need to have everything figured out today. You only need the courage to take the next step. The person you want to become is built one decision at a time. Every time you choose strength, you become stronger. Every time you choose discipline, you become more disciplined. Every time you choose courage, you become more courageous. This is the path of Stoicism. Not a life without problems. A mind that is stronger than problems. A person who can stand in chaos and remain calm. A person who can face uncertainty and still move forward. A person who trusts themselves. At some point in your journey, you will realize something powerful. The battle was never against the world. The battle was always inside your own mind. The world will always have opinions. People will always have judgments. Challenges will always exist. But the person who learns to master their thoughts becomes free. Because freedom is not having a life where nothing goes wrong. Freedom is having a mind that stays steady when things go wrong. A Stoic does not search for an easy path. A Stoic searches for a stronger mind. Because an easy life can create a weak person. But a disciplined mind can create a person who can handle anything. Think about a mountain. The mountain does not become strong because nobody touches it. The mountain becomes strong because it stands through storms, rain, and time. Your struggles are shaping your character. Every difficult moment is an opportunity to build a stronger version of yourself. There was once a man who always complained about his problems. Every day he said, "Why is life so difficult? Why do bad things happen to me? Why can't things be easier?" An old teacher listened and gave him a cup of water with a handful of salt. The teacher told him to drink it. The man tasted it and said, "This is too bitter." Then the teacher took him to a large lake and poured the same amount of salt into the water. He told him to taste it. The man drank the water and said, "It tastes normal." The teacher smiled and said, "The salt is the same. The difference is the size of the water. Your problems are like salt. A small mind makes them unbearable. A stronger mind can handle the same challenges. That is the power of mental growth. Stop doubting your mind because you are capable of more than you realize. Many people never discover their strength because they quit before they see what they can become. They leave the race before the breakthrough. They abandon the dream before the opportunity arrives. They walk away from the mountain because they cannot see the top. But remember, you do not climb a mountain by staring at the peak. You climb by taking one step. Then another. Then another. Your mind will always try to protect you from pain. But sometimes avoiding pain creates more suffering. Avoiding difficult conversations creates bigger problems. Avoiding discipline creates regret. Avoiding growth creates weakness. The temporary discomfort of improvement is better than the permanent regret of staying the same. A powerful Stoic practice is learning to separate what you control from what you cannot control. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control the past. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control your actions. Your peace begins when you stop fighting battles you were never meant to win. Imagine spending your entire life trying to control the weather. Every day you become angry because the rain comes. Every day you become frustrated because the sun is too hot. Eventually, you realize something. The weather was never yours to control. Your response was, "Life is the same." You cannot control every storm. But you can learn how to build a stronger shelter. The person who trusts their mind does not mean they believe they are perfect. It means they know they can handle challenges. They know they can learn. They know they can adapt. They know failure is not the end. Failure is feedback. Rejection is redirection. Hard times are training. So the next time doubt enters your mind, remember. You are not your worst moment. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not the opinion of someone else. You are the person who chooses what happens next. Your future is created by the decisions you make today. Train your mind. Protect your peace. Control your reactions. Stay disciplined. Move quietly. Let your actions speak louder than your doubts. Because the strongest person is not the one who never struggles. The strongest person is the one who struggles and still continues. If this message connected with you, share your thoughts in the comments. What is one doubt you are choosing to overcome today? And if you want more powerful lessons on discipline, mental strength, and Stoic wisdom, subscribe to Stoic Ascension. Remember, a powerful life begins with a powerful mind. Stop doubting your mind. Start mastering it. One day you'll realize something that changes everything. The people you chased didn't build you. The noise didn't strengthen you. The moments you were alone did. Stay until the end, because what you're about to hear may completely change how you see solitude. And if this message speaks to you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Stoic Ascension for more powerful Stoicism. Most people fear being alone. The moment the room becomes quiet, they reach for their phone. They search for attention. They look for validation. They need someone to tell them they matter. But the Stoics believed something different. They understood that solitude is not punishment. Solitude is training. Because when you are alone, there is nowhere to hide. No applause. No distractions. No audience. Only you. And that is where real power begins. A young man once complained to his mentor. He said, I feel forgotten. Nobody checks on me. Nobody notices me. The mentor smiled and said, "Good." The young man looked confused. The mentor continued, "When nobody is watching, you discover who you truly are." That day changed him. He stopped performing. Stopped explaining. Stopped proving. And started building. That is your first lesson. Being alone teaches self-respect. Many people stay surrounded because silence forces them to face themselves. Their fears. Their weaknesses. Their unfinished goals. But Stoicism says, face them. Sit with discomfort. Because your future self is hidden behind the things you avoid. Think about this. When a sword is forged, it doesn't happen in celebration. It happens in fire. Strength grows in isolation. There's a story of a sculptor. Every day he entered his workshop alone. No audience. No compliments. Just endless carving. People laughed at him. Months later he revealed a masterpiece. Everyone asked, "How did you do it?" He answered, "I removed everything that wasn't necessary." Your life works the same way. Sometimes solitude removes everything unnecessary. The fake friendships. The endless approval seeking. The distractions. Until only the real you remains. Another lesson. Alone doesn't mean lonely. There is a difference. Loneliness says, "I am incomplete." Solitude says, "I am growing." People often confuse the two. You can stand in a crowded room and feel empty. You can walk alone and feel completely alive. Your peace should never depend on someone else's presence. A Stoic understands this. If people stay, good. If people leave, still good. Your center remains. There was once a man who lost almost everyone around him. Friends disappeared. Messages stopped. Invitations ended. At first he suffered. Then something unexpected happened. He started reading. Training. Learning. Building habits. Months later people returned. But now he no longer needed their approval. He had discovered himself. That's the hidden gift of solitude. You stop asking, "Who loves me?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" Next lesson. Silence creates clarity. Look at today's world. Everyone is talking. Posting. Comparing. Reacting. Few people think. The Stoics valued silence because silence reveals truth. When your mind becomes quiet, your decisions become stronger. There's a short story. A king asked two advisors the same question. One spoke for hours. The other stayed silent and answered with one sentence. The king chose the second. Why? Because wisdom doesn't compete for attention. Power rarely screams. A strong person doesn't need to announce their goals. They move quietly. They improve quietly. Then results speak. Imagine spending 1 month focused. No unnecessary arguments. No chasing. No explaining. Just discipline. Your life would start changing. Not because the world changed, but because your attention changed. Another truth. Being alone builds emotional control. When you are always surrounded, you become dependent on reactions. But solitude teaches regulation. You learn to sit with difficult emotions. Anger. Fear. Disappointment. You stop escaping. A young athlete lost an important competition. Everyone expected him to quit. Instead, he disappeared for months. People assumed he failed. But he was training. When he returned, He was stronger than before. Someone asked, "What changed?" He said, "I stopped needing people to believe in me." That's powerful. Because confidence built alone lasts longer than confidence borrowed from praise. Stoicism teaches, you do not control opinions. You control responses. Your peace should not depend on applause. Lesson. Stop chasing people. If someone values you, they will show it. If they don't, let distance reveal truth. Too many people exhaust themselves trying to keep everyone. But the Stoics remind us, you cannot force connection. You cannot convince people to stay. And you should never shrink yourself to be accepted. A gardener planted seeds. Some grew. Some didn't. He didn't scream at the soil. He focused on what responded. Your energy is precious. Invest it wisely. If people walk away, let them. Use that energy to become stronger. Next lesson. Your greatest ideas are born in solitude. Think about your own life. How many breakthroughs happened in noise? Probably not many. Ideas appear when your mind slows down. When you walk. Reflect. Write. Think. There was a writer who spent 1 hour every morning alone. No phone. No interruptions. Years later his work changed lives. People called him talented. But they didn't see the lonely mornings. Success often looks public. But it is built privately. Your future is shaped in moments nobody sees. Another lesson. Discipline becomes easier when you stop performing. When people watch, you try to impress. When you are alone, you improve. Wake up. Train. Read. Work. Not for attention, but because excellence becomes your identity. There's a story of two builders. One built only when others watched. The other worked whether anyone noticed or not. Years later, one had memories. The other had results. Your habits determine your future. Not your announcements. Now listen carefully. This lesson changes everything. You become dangerous when you enjoy your own company. Not dangerous to others. Dangerous to limitations. Because once you no longer fear being alone, manipulation loses power. Pressure loses power. Rejection loses power. Think about that. If your happiness doesn't depend on constant validation, what can control you? Very little. That is freedom. A Stoic doesn't reject people. They simply refuse dependence. Relationships become choices, not survival. Another story. A traveler asked an old wise man, "What is the secret to strength?" The wise man pointed to a mountain. He said, "Look at the mountain. It stands alone. It doesn't ask the sky for permission. It doesn't chase attention. It simply stands." That stayed with the traveler forever. Become like that. Stable. Calm. Rooted. Lesson. Use solitude to create, not escape. Being alone isn't hiding. It isn't disappearing. It's preparing. Use the time. Learn skills. Exercise. Read. Reflect. Write your goals. Build your future. 1 year of focused growth can transform your life. People will call it luck. But you'll know. It was solitude. Another truth. Protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your time. Not every invitation deserves yes. Not every conversation deserves your attention. The Stoics understood this. Your attention shapes your life. Spend it wisely. A man kept complaining he had no progress. Then he tracked his days. Hours lost scrolling. Hours lost arguing. Hours lost proving himself. He changed one thing. He started protecting his time. Everything improved. Your life changes when your standards change. Lesson. Become your own source of motivation. Because external motivation fades. People leave. Support changes. But internal discipline stays. Wake up even when nobody cheers. Work even when nobody notices. Continue even when results are invisible. That is strength. A seed underground looks invisible. But growth is happening. Trust your process. Another lesson. Silence is not weakness. People mistake quiet people for powerless. Until results appear. Silence protects energy. Silence sharpens observation. Silence reveals character. You don't need to respond to everything. Not every battle deserves your attention. Sometimes the strongest move is continuing forward. Remember this. The strongest people are not always the loudest. They are often the calmest. Because they learned something powerful. Peace is earned internally. Not externally. Stop searching everywhere for what must be built within. Now imagine this. 1 year from today. You kept choosing growth. Stopped chasing. Stopped comparing. Started enjoying solitude. Started building discipline. How different would your life look? More confidence. More focus. More peace. More strength. That future begins now. Not tomorrow. Now. Being alone is not losing. Being alone is learning. It is where identity is built. Character is tested. Discipline is forged. And power is created. The world teaches dependency. Stoicism teaches self-mastery. So the next time life becomes quiet, don't fear it. Use it. Grow in it. Become stronger because of it. Stand firm. Move quietly. Build relentlessly. And remember, alone is not empty. Alone is power. And one more thing. There will be days when solitude feels heavy. Days when progress feels invisible. Days when you question whether your effort matters. This is where most people quit. Not because they are incapable. But because they expect immediate rewards. Stoicism teaches patience. The tree does not become tall in a day. The ocean does not carve stone in a week. Strength is quiet. Growth is invisible before it becomes obvious. There was once a blacksmith who worked every day. Hammer after hammer. Nothing looked different. Someone laughed and asked, "Why keep hitting it? It isn't changing." The blacksmith smiled. He said, "The final strike gets the credit. The previous 1,000 made it possible. Remember that. Your effort today is never wasted. Even when nobody notices. Even when results seem small. Every disciplined action leaves a mark." Another lesson. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. People will misunderstand you. Some will think you changed. Some will call you distant. Some will question your silence. That's okay. You are not required to defend growth. When a seed becomes a tree, it doesn't apologize for becoming taller. A young man decided to focus on his goals. Less partying. Less talking. More building. His friends mocked him. "You've become boring." Years later they asked him for advice. Never let temporary opinions interrupt permanent progress. Your future deserves protection. Here's something powerful. Solitude reveals who truly belongs in your life. Distance exposes truth. Some people only stay when you entertain them. Some only support you when you struggle. Some disappear when you start improving. Do not become bitter. Become aware. A wise person once said, "Time doesn't change people. It reveals them." When you stop chasing, you see who walks beside you willingly. That knowledge is valuable. Because energy is limited. Protect it. Another Stoic principle. Train yourself to enjoy simple things. Sit quietly. Walk without music sometimes. Watch the sunrise. Read. Exercise. Think. The world constantly pushes stimulation. But peace often hides in simplicity. A wealthy man once visited a monk. He expected luxury. Instead he found a small room. Simple meals. Calm silence. He asked, "Why do you live with so little?" The monk smiled. "Because I discovered how little I actually need." Think about that. How much stress comes from wanting more, instead of appreciating enough. Lesson. Your habits become your identity. People say, "I want confidence." But confidence is built. Wake up early. Keep promises to yourself. Exercise. Learn. Stay disciplined. Every action sends your mind a message. You begin trusting yourself. And self-trust creates quiet confidence. Not loud confidence. Not attention-seeking confidence. Real confidence. The kind that stays even when nobody claps. Another truth. Your greatest competition is your old self. Not strangers. Not followers. Not opinions. Yesterday's version of you. A man kept comparing himself to others. He felt behind. One day his mentor asked, "Are you better than last year?" That question changed everything. He stopped competing. Started improving. And peace returned. Measure growth differently. Did you become calmer? Stronger? More disciplined? More focused? That is winning. Listen carefully. There is a reason silence feels uncomfortable. Because silence removes excuses. No distractions. No performance. Only truth. And truth can transform you. If you allow it. When you sit alone, ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What am I becoming? What deserves my energy? Those questions build lives. Another lesson. Your standards create your future. Raise them. Raise what you tolerate. Raise how you spend time. Raise what you accept. Raise what you expect from yourself. There was once a man who wanted success, but lived without structure. He changed one thing. He created standards. Sleep. Work. Exercise. Learning. Months later his life looked completely different. Success often begins with small rules. Now imagine becoming the kind of person who does not panic when alone. Does not chase attention. Does not react emotionally. Does not abandon goals. That person becomes difficult to shake. Because their foundation exists within. That is Stoic strength. One final story. An old warrior was asked, "What made you strong?" People expected stories about battles. Instead he answered, "The mornings nobody saw. The moments I wanted to quit. The times I stood alone and kept moving. That is where strength lives. Not in crowds. Not in recognition. In quiet consistency." So if life feels quiet right now, don't assume you're being left behind. You may be entering your strongest season. Use the silence. Build discipline. Sharpen your mind. Protect your peace. And remember, being alone does not mean you are missing something. Sometimes it means you finally have space to become everything you're meant to be. And before you leave, understand this. The world rewards visibility. But life rewards value. Those are not the same thing. Many people spend years trying to look successful. Few spend years becoming powerful. Stoicism chooses the second path. Because appearance fades, character remains. There was a young man who wanted respect. He dressed well, talked loudly, tried to impress everyone. But people forgot him quickly. Another man said little, worked consistently, kept his word. Years later, one had attention. The other had influence. Never confuse being seen with becoming valuable. Another lesson. Learn to sit in discomfort. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid hard conversations. Avoid difficult work. Avoid silence. Avoid failure. But growth rarely arrives comfortably. A farmer plants seeds knowing there will be seasons. Rain. Heat. Waiting. No harvest appears instantly. Your life works the same way. Some seasons are for planting. Some are for growing. Some are for harvesting. Don't quit during planting season. There's something else solitude teaches. You don't need to react to everything. Someone ignores you. Stay calm. Someone criticizes you. Stay calm. Someone misunderstands you. Stay calm. Not because you're weak. Because not every event deserves your energy. Imagine carrying every opinion people throw at you. Eventually you become exhausted. A Stoic asks, does this deserve my peace? If the answer is no, let it go. Another story. A teacher placed a glass of water in front of students. He asked, how heavy is this? Answers came. The teacher smiled. The weight doesn't matter. What matters is how long you carry it. Stress is similar. Problems become heavier when carried endlessly. Learn to set things down. Reflect. Rest. Move forward. Next lesson. Your attention is your greatest weapon. Whatever you focus on grows. Focus on problems. Anxiety grows. Focus on comparison. Insecurity grows. Focus on discipline. Strength grows. Focus on purpose. Clarity grows. A young creator uploaded videos every day. At first, few views. Few comments. Almost nobody noticed. But instead of checking numbers, he improved skills. Months later people called him successful. They never saw the silent days. Protect your focus. Your future depends on it. Another truth. Stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Action creates readiness. You become confident by doing. You become disciplined by repeating. You become strong by enduring. There was a swimmer afraid of deep water. He kept studying. Watching. Planning. Then one day his coach said, the water is still waiting. Knowledge matters. But action transforms. Start before confidence arrives. Lesson. Master your emotions without suppressing them. Stoicism is not pretending nothing hurts. It's learning not to become controlled by what hurts. Feel emotions. Observe them. But do not hand them the steering wheel. A man lost an opportunity he wanted badly. Instead of saying, my life is over, he asked, what can this teach me? Months later, that loss redirected him towards something better. Perspective changes everything. Another powerful idea. Become difficult to distract. Imagine what happens when you combine silence, focus, discipline, patience. That combination becomes unstoppable. Most people lose because they change direction every week. You don't need more motivation. You need consistency. 1 page daily. 1 workout daily. 1 improvement daily. Small actions become massive results. Here's something many people never realize. Peace is a competitive advantage. A calm mind sees opportunities. A restless mind misses them. A calm person makes better decisions. Think clearly. Move deliberately. Respond instead of react. The strongest people often appear ordinary. Because real power does not need to announce itself. Now ask yourself. If nobody praised you, would you still continue? If nobody noticed, would you still improve? If nobody believed, would you still build? Because that answer reveals your level of commitment. The people who change their lives continue even in silence. One final image. Picture an archer. Everyone watches the arrow. Nobody notices the moment he pulls back. But the pullback creates the distance. Maybe your life feels like that right now. Quiet. Slow. Like you're moving backward. But perhaps you're preparing for your greatest move forward. Trust the process. Use solitude. Build discipline. And now, here is the part most people never hear. Power is not built when life is easy. Power is built when nobody is coming. When there is no perfect moment. No perfect mood. No perfect support. Only your decision to continue. That is where Stoicism separates people. Because Stoicism does not ask, how do I feel today? It asks, what must be done? A man once asked a wise teacher, how do I become mentally strong? The teacher pointed to a river. He said, watch. The river moved around rocks. Through obstacles. Without complaining. Without stopping. The teacher said, strength is not force. Strength is continuing. Remember that. You do not need to dominate everything. You need to remain steady. Another lesson. Stop announcing your next move. Not because success is secret. But because energy is valuable. Every time you speak too much about goals. Sometimes you satisfy yourself before doing the work. Build quietly. Move quietly. Win quietly. There was a craftsman in a small village. Nobody knew what he was creating. Every morning. Work. Every evening. Silence. Months later he opened the doors. People were shocked. Years of excellence hidden behind quiet effort. Results speak louder than promises. Another truth. People respect consistency more than intensity. Anyone can work hard for one day. Few people remain disciplined for years. A man decided to improve himself. He didn't try to change everything. He made one promise. Every day. One step. Read. Train. Learn. Reflect. 1 year later. His entire identity changed. Small actions repeated become transformation. Here's a powerful idea. The strongest person in the room is often the least emotional. Not cold. Not disconnected. Controlled. When insulted, they remain calm. When praised, they remain balanced. When challenged, they remain focused. Because they understand. External events should not control internal peace. There's a story of a warrior. Someone insulted him publicly. Everyone waited for anger. Instead he smiled and walked away. People asked, why didn't you respond? He answered, If someone gives you a gift and you refuse it, who keeps it? The crowd became silent. Not every opinion deserves acceptance. Another lesson. Your standards decide your circle. When you become disciplined, some people leave. That's normal. Growth creates distance. Not because you became better than others, but because priorities changed. If your life begins changing, do not panic. Not every door closing is loss. Sometimes it creates space. Space for better habits. Better opportunities. Better people. Protect your direction. Listen carefully. One day, you'll stop needing people to understand your journey. That day changes everything. You stop explaining. Stop proving. Stop defending. You simply continue. Quiet confidence begins there. A mountain never argues about its height. It simply stands. Become like that. Another story. A young man visited an old gardener. He expected advice about success. Instead, the gardener handed him seeds. He said, "Plant these." Weeks passed. Nothing appeared. The young man complained. The gardener smiled. Roots first. That sentence stayed with him forever. Everyone wants visible success. Few respect invisible preparation. Build roots. Knowledge. Discipline. Character. Patience. Your time will come. Another lesson. Protect mornings and protect nights. How you start and end your day shapes your mind. Wake with purpose. Sleep with reflection. Ask yourself, what did I improve? What distracted me? What matters tomorrow? Days become weeks. Weeks become years. And suddenly, your life changes. Not because of luck. Because of habits. Now think about this. The person you want to become. What would they do today? Would they complain? Would they delay? Would they chase approval? Or would they act? Become that person now. Not later. Identity grows through repeated action. Another truth. Stop making comfort your goal. Comfort is pleasant. But growth often lives outside it. Learn. Train. Challenge yourself. Speak less. Observe more. Build more. You'll surprise yourself. And when difficult days come, remember this. You do not need to win every day. You only need to avoid quitting. Rest if needed. Reflect if needed. But continue. Even slowly. Momentum matters. Final thought for this chapter. Years from now, people may see your confidence, your discipline, your calm energy. They may think they're lucky. But you'll remember the lonely mornings, the silent work, the moments nobody clapped, the decisions nobody saw. That was the price. And it was worth it. Comment, "I move in silence," if you're still watching. Share this video with someone building quietly. And subscribe to Stoic Ascension for more powerful Stoicism, discipline, and timeless lessons. Stay silent. Stay sharp. Keep ascending.